I've grown up in England and I've lived in Scotland, and so moving to Berlin, you're kind of in a new city and a new environment, and so culture's quite different. I've found that language learning is really important but really challenging. But there are some moments where you're in a shop and the other person doesn't speak English, and so you're figuring your way through a conversation in another language and trying to get what you need or ask for something. This is definitely a challenge for me. I've found it quite humbling and quite painful at points. Berlin's bigger than any city I've lived in, so getting across the city takes a lot longer. You can't just walk across it or cycle across it without it taking ages. And so we're spread out across the city a little bit as a church. We've got different people living over different places, and we're travelling for small group and we're travelling for church. What I've experienced is Berlin can feel kind of isolating at points, and I think other people actually choose that isolated life sometimes. They live quite an independent life and they can dip into relationships a bit. I think people want community here. People often go to groups and social meetups and things as a way of connecting with people, but people do desire that community. I think that's part of why we're here as a church. The city is kind of contrasting in a number of ways as well. You go through the city and there's beautiful parks and amazing architecture, and this beautiful river runs through the centre of it, and then suddenly you turn a corner and there's graffiti everywhere and there's abandoned buildings and derelict areas. But there's something beautiful about the contrast here, and there's people just the same. There's people who live affluent lives and are quite career driven, and then there's people who are living to discover more about themselves, or to experience new opportunities and to do new things in life. The new normal for me is being out of my comfort zone. I'm in a place where I'm speaking a different language, going to different types of shops, interacting with different people all the time, but it's given me a willingness to be a bit more adventurous, to step outside the box a little bit more, meet more people, push myself a little bit more. I'm feeling like I'm growing. As being part of a small church, you feel like you're growing as well. You're pushing on your giftings a bit more. You feel like God's growing you quite quickly in some areas of your life. But when you're doing it all with church and with people who are experiencing some difficult things with you, you can be cared for, and you can also give care and give advice and help people. I've been the recipient of much advice and care and from different people in the church, and so I've definitely benefited from being here, not just on my own as an independent person, but being here as part of a church community. It's definitely shaped how I'm living in this city.